Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of Give Her the Mic podcast. We are so happy that you're here. We really hope you listened or watched episode 3. And if you didn't, make sure you go back and watch that for sure. The other exciting thing I want to tell you guys is that we are now going to weekly podcasts.
Yes.
Weekly. We have listened, we have obeyed, and we just feel like right now with the amount of content, of course, that we're recording and talking through, we just feel like that's probably what we need to be doing. So we're just going to go with it.
Let's give the people what they want.
Let's give the people what they want. Exactly.
So with that being said, episode 4.
This is episode 4. It's called From Broken to Bold.
Love it.
This is going to be a big one, y'all.
Yep.
We actually, I almost wish we didn't wear turtlenecks for this one.
Yeah.
And heavy jewelry. Because anybody that has any sort of the tiniest bit of anxiety knows that if you have like high things on your neck or heavy things, it makes you feel kind of crazy sometimes.
Yeah. God's going to do it,
But you know what? Yeah, we're here for a purpose and a reason, and we're just going to talk. That's all we're going to do. Yeah.
I'm ready to roll.
Yeah, we're ready to roll. So we want to talk about a time in our life today that we felt like there was no like forward motion at all.
Yeah, no way out, really.
There was no way out.
Kind of like the suffocating feeling of like,
I can't get out of this shirt.
It's always going to be this way.
Yes.
Yeah, like the feeling that it's that hopelessness and that detachment of, you know, to God, where are you?
Yeah.
In this moment, like those why me moments, the why is it like this moment, you know, really is what, you know, I think is really going to help women the most, because I feel like, you know, a lot of women feel that way, that 100%. They get trapped in themselves and they get trapped in circumstances and become really broken. And, you know, we were talking about this morning with, you know, therapy, when we were on the phone with my mom, like, you know, she was taking her Prozac and, you know, that's all they know, man. And back in the 70s and 80s and early 90s too, like, you know, we're going to have a episode about moms, but, you know, so many women being trapped and then blaming themselves. And so we're going to hopefully like free you guys from that in this episode and help you guys know that there is a way out. And in my opinion, things that get broken can become the most beautiful masterpieces when they're put back together. So you want to go ahead and get us started with a really low moment that you went through in the past 5 years?
Yeah. So of course I got separated 2019. I was legally divorced in like February of 2020. So that's, of course, when Chloe and I stopped talking, was kind of right around that time.
Yeah, it's perfect timing for destruction, really.
Perfect timing. We were both really, really, really. And in this time, my aunt was very sick. She had breast cancer for the second time. And this time it was everywhere. And I was dating him at the time, and she passed away first. So she died in May of 2020. And I was very much not okay already. And then after that, I was much worse. After she died, I went to Florida. That's when I went to Florida. And when I came back, he treated me worse for a lot of different reasons, and he wound up raping me when I came back from Florida.
Yeah.
Because he was so angry. Because in pictures, you know, I was out on a boat, there was guys in the background, things like that, even though he never was like, oh, you're my girlfriend. You know, a lot of men will do that. They'll just keep you clinging like by a thing because they know they can just do whatever they want with you. That's what they do.
Yeah.
A lot of men.
How did you feel about yourself like during this time? Like even when you were
Empty.
with your friends in Florida?
Empty.
Did they know what was going on? Did anybody? So you were just internalizing it and trying to figure it out?
They knew that my aunt had passed away. But if I'm being honest, I think when you go through seasons like this in your life, and I know you and I have talked about this, like the people who you surround yourself with are so important.
Yeah. Well, and you're a pretty guarded person. You're like me. Like you're like a social butterfly, but also like there's not many people who truly know like who you are.
No,
and so
not.
I know if it were me, nobody would have known when I was in Florida. They would have, known I was upset. Of course, family member dying, that's so close. And watching your mom and your dad walk through that pain as well. But I think that's significant and important for the viewers to understand that, it's not healthy to dissociate from pain.
No.
So,
and that's what I was doing. Just drinking, partying.
Yeah. So what happened after he did that?
After he did that, I stayed with him for, let's see. So she died in May, June. I think it was July, maybe end of June, July. I had gone out with some girls and, we were out in Raleigh. He came with us and he got upset because I asked him to take a picture of me and the girls. He was already in a terrible mood that day. He was so up and down, hot and cold. You could look at him the wrong way. He was always on guard, just angry.
Scary.
Scary, very scary. And like I said, when you're newly dating after divorce, you can put yourself in very dangerous situations if you're not careful.
And broken.
Yes. You really, yes.
And broken.
Yes. And he got upset because whatever. And one of my friends, Haley, she said, do you even realize how lucky you are that she's with you and that she even wants you to take a picture with her? And he got really upset and left. And when I got back to the house, he was in there. And so I just looked at the girls and I was like, give me a second with him. Let me see if I can just, talk things over or whatever. And so when I walked in there, I didn't know, but he had locked the door behind me. And he immediately took me by my neck and threw me up against a wall. I fell to the ground. And then he picked me up, threw me on the bed. I fell off the bed. I think I fractured my foot, truthfully. The top of my foot was really bad. And after that, he just started dragging me by my hair through the house, just hitting me. And I was just screaming. I could hear them banging at the door. They were trying to come in. And I started scratching him and clawing him as hard as I could because I knew if I didn't, he could have killed me. So I just started scratching him, and then he let me go. And he walked out.
I'm so sorry.
Me too. There's people in this world that are just really broken and bad.
Yeah.
And I think that through healing from that, I know that none of that was my fault. I should have never put myself in that situation, but that's not my fault.
No,
no one should ever do that to anyone. That is not my fault. But there are some people that are in this world that are just really broken and really bad. And he is one of them.
Yeah.
And then after that, I definitely was not okay, obviously. I had a good chat with my friend. She told me I needed to do some work. I did, but I didn't, if that makes sense.
Work, said, she was basically saying
you need to get help. You are clearly not okay.
Go her. Who's that?
So Colleen Regan.
Colleen,
we love her.
We love you. We've always loved her.
She's the best. Yeah, she's a friend of mine from Boston. She's the best.
Shout
she's very
out to
upfront,
a real friend that says
very
you need
upfront.
to get help.
Yeah,
and
you need to deal with this yeah. So at that point, I stopped dating and didn't, talk to anyone, whatever. Definitely kept to myself a lot. And then in the spring of 2021 was when Nick died. I had to look back. He died.
I don't think they know who Nick
No.
is.
Okay. So, yeah. So, sorry, this was a part of the story. Me and Chloe were talking about, yeah. We're just prepping. So after the whole situation with Tallboy, that is also when COVID was going on at the hospital. And I definitely kept to myself more. Yeah. I kept to myself more, stayed to myself more, probably wasn't doing healing work, if that makes sense. Like I was going back to church for sure, all of those things, but I didn't get back into counseling until 2021, I'm sorry, after Nick passed away. Nick was a guy friend of mine who I met because he was a patient of mine at the hospital.
Okay.
He was 29 when I met him. That was in March of 2020 was when I met him. He died in probably March of 2021, between March and May. I can't remember.
Yeah.
That's terrible, but I just can't.
No, it's not.
Trauma will just like take it from you.
Yeah.
It's wild, man.
Well,
it's
and
wild.
also you were newly into, like your heart is with nurses right now. Do you want to tell our viewers like what was going on in the hospital? Because I don't think people understood what was going on with COVID. And I even know myself, like I was like, COVID's a joke, like whatever, not a joke. But I was like, you know.
When I heard people saying COVID was a joke, it would disgust me.
Yeah.
Because.
Yeah, tell them what you saw.
I'll tell you guys about one person. During COVID, I was in charge of 2 separate units. Before COVID, I was in charge of 1 unit. One day I walked in, we didn't have the staff. They handed me another phone, another pager, and it was called palliative care. They had diagnosed this guy in the ED who was supposed to come up to us. They wouldn't COVID test him because they knew that he had COVID, and they wanted to save the test. So
because the tests were
we didn't
limited.
have enough.
That's right.
So they would only test certain people. So one of my nurses, Neil, he's so funny. He's like in his 60s, ex-vet. He's so funny.
I feel like, is he a black guy?
Neil White.
Okay, never mind. I thought it was this one nurse.
He's so
That's
cool.
awesome there.
I know who you're talking about. I do.
He's so great.
Yeah, I know who you're
So
talking
great.
about. Yeah. But he had some N95 stashed in his locker. So he gave me one. He said, baby, you got to put this on. This guy's going to have COVID. And when he came rolling around the corner, the noise he was making when he breathed, I will never forget that. His wife came in. She was in a wheelchair. She came in to try to say goodbye to him, and she immediately turned around. She couldn't even do it. And so I looked at the doctor, and I was like, I'm going to give him enough. I can't do this. And he said, give him enough. And I gave him as much as I could until he died.
Of what, morphine?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when people say that COVID wasn't real, I pronounce more people in a year and a half than I ever have in my whole career. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. And people died alone. A lot of people died alone.
Yeah, because they couldn't have visitors. So, you know, that alone to that environment, I can imagine how many nurses became broken.
Yes.
And y'all being underappreciated, overworked, understaffed, underpaid.
Going through something that, you know, the population itself had never experienced before.
No.
But the healthcare field, what we experienced, is a completely different thing that no one will understand unless you saw it.
Well, and in Eastern North Carolina, I know this wasn't in our notes, but like there's patients here. These people have more comorbidities than so many other people. So anyways, I know that was off topic.
That was 2020, 2021 for me. It was just a really hard time. And to sum all that up, I started back into counseling, I think in the middle of 2021. I finally found a girl that was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, CareNet, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're great.
CareNet. And I remember, because I had tried counseling when you and I were still talking, and I remember it was not good. She made me feel bad. I remember you told me, you're not supposed to feel worse when you leave therapy. And I was like, okay. So I stopped going. I found this girl, and I remember when I walked in, she said to me, she was like, the only rules I have is that you were always honest with me. And that if you ever end up in Pitt County Jail in an orange jumpsuit, I don't know you. I was like, okay, cool, let's go. So, yeah. But anywho, that it feels like forever ago, if I'm being honest, because I am so different now and things have changed so much. And I feel like I have so much joy in my life that I didn't have back then. And I'm just thankful that I did go through all that, because if I didn't, like, it wouldn't be my story. So,
yeah. So the therapy starting in 2021.
Yeah.
Even though the years to come, right? Because I'm going to talk about some stuff that happened in 2022. It's like people need to understand starting therapy does not mean it is a one and done.
No.
You're good.
No.
It means you're starting, but it's going to be messy.
Yeah.
And you're going to learn things about yourself as you open the door of each part of ourselves that we don't love.
Oh, yeah.
And it takes time. And I think that's important too, because now, you know, it's 2025. And, you know, I was literally telling Justin, my husband, his name is Justin, the other day, like, you are, I don't even know this woman. Like, you are so strong, so confident. Like, and I'm sure you're like, I'm not fully there yet. And I know you're not, because with the therapy you're in now, I just can't wait to see what God unlocks. But it's like, it is a progress. It's a progression of just starting. And I really have so much respect for you in the midst of COVID, in the midst of Nick dying, who you told me you loved him. So the viewers need to know that too. Yeah. Like that you started. And so many people wait to start. And I wish they wouldn't, because your mental state is never going to get better by doing nothing.
No.
So anyways, I think it's beautiful. All right.
Chloe.
So
I just took up so much of our beautiful podcast.
You're supposed to take up space. That's what it's for. That's why it's just us.
I love that it's great. For now.
It's great. For now. So
for now.
Yeah. So a pretty broken piece that I found really brought me literally to my knees, literally and figuratively, was a moment in 2022. And it really broke me personally, professionally. It really broke and shattered a lot of just beliefs and values, and it brought back a lot of trauma. And so I know we've talked about it, but I'm going to tell all you guys about it. And got my note card because I need that. One thing I want to start with for our viewers that God's really brought me back to is he's been very, very consistent with telling me that he's not going to bring forth anything, anything bad. He's going to bring new things forward when there's bad things that happen, right? So the scripture is, God doesn't cause pain without allowing something new to be reborn, Isaiah 66:9. And so I was at a work event, and I think it was 2022. Was that the year that you roomed with the two people?
2021.
Or was it one? Okay. So this was also 2021 for me. Look at that. We have like the same timeline. Go figure. So yeah, 2020 was a really rough year for me just in general. And postpartum depression, our friendship had ended. And at that time I was not healed. So what I decided to do was give you the silent treatment. Because I remember telling Justin, I'm just going to stop talking to her and I'm going to see if she's there for me, which, people can go a lot of ways about coping mechanisms, but when you don't have the tools, it was really like a cry for help. And so I think that by me doing that, it started to really break me down just in general in 2020 because I really needed you. And we've talked about that, but also I didn't have the tools and like the mental state to like be like, hey, we need to have a conversation, even though, I did try a couple times throughout the past few years. But I'm a firm believer in God's timing and it just wasn't right. But I know that my goal was not to hurt you. My goal was I need for her to see, like, looking back, it's like, I'm not your mom, but I didn't like what you were doing. And so it was like kind of this stretch and pull of like, okay, it's been a month, it's been 2 months, and I didn't know Nick died. I didn't know your aunt died, and all these things were kind of going on. Yeah. And so going into 2021 at a work event, I feel like there is some stuff I need to kind of set the record straight on, because as a business owner, I had to watch how I responded and what I did, but I know you know the whole story now. And so basically I was at this work event, and, you know, tons of people in our company are there. And, you know, I was looking for some of my leaders and trying to find them one night. And it was just really strange to begin with, the way it started in general, because I could feel like something was off, but I was so broken and like so cloudy, I guess is the best word, at this time, that I just was like, it's okay. You know, it's not abnormal. And Justin kept saying, something is off, something's really off with these people. And I was like, no, it's fine. And it was not fine. And so I was trying to meet up with these people, and I couldn't find them. Literally walking down the streets in a state that I had no idea where anything was in the state we were in for this event. I walk into the first bar and they're not there. I walk into the second bar, they're not there. And I actually was with a couple of my other leaders, and they were like, Chloe, like, they literally don't want to see you. And I was like, no way. Like, it's not true. Like, I talk to these people. I hang out with these people. I hang out with their husbands. Like, we're friends. And I promise there is a point to all of this, you guys, because I told Kristen, my goal is not to gaslight or bash anyone. What I want to do is tell my story, because it's time.
You deserve to.
A lot of people have told this story for me, and I need to set the record straight. But I did continue to look for them. And so the last bar I went into, I'll never forget the way I felt. And I think, you know what I mean? Like when you're in a situation and you feel so uncomfortable and you just walk into it, but you can't get out, and you're like, oh shit. Like,
I'm here. I'm already in.
And they're here. And they planned all this without me. Now, I'll say that there's always two sides of the story, but I don't think anyone deserves to get treated in such a way to where they are lied to and manipulated and blindsided. And so when I walked into this bar, one of them had walked up to me, because I could see all of them in the corner. And I'll never forget the way that she made me feel when she looked at me and she said, why does your face look like that? And I was in like shock. And this was somebody I loved and cared about deeply as a woman, business aside. I'm not a business first, people second. I'm people first, business second. And you know me, I am a loyal person.
Yes.
I am loyal.
Yes.
And so I was like, oh my gosh. And Justin's standing there and two more of my leaders. And I'm like, no, it's okay. Like, it's fine. Y'all didn't want me to be here. You guys can hang out with whoever you want to. There was a girl there in particular that I had no idea did not like me as much as I was unaware of. And I think that happens a lot with women. Like, when we're not healthy, we're unaware of what relationships just don't fit. It has nothing to do with like, they did this, she did that. It's like, this relationship should have never went past a business relationship, right?
Yes.
Or like a hey at church relationship.
Yes.
And so I'll not ever forget that she snapped back at me and she was like, yeah, I can talk to whoever I want to. And she turns around and goes to the bar and like sticks her butt out and orders a drink. And that was it. Nobody else from over there walked over, said anything. And one of the girls in particular, I had decorated her room that day for her birthday with the girl that spoke to me. So when I say I was blindsided, like I really was.
Yeah.
And so I left. I went back to my hotel room, and I've told you this. I literally dropped to my knees, and I was like, I got to get out of here. And like, I need to preface this, like, I'm a top leader in my company. Like, this was not, you can just leave. And looking back, I told you, I wish I did leave and get on a plane, because nobody should ever be in environments where they are being made to feel uncomfortable and made to feel unwanted and made to feel insignificant and not valued. And not once did any of them ever say a word to me before. And I have a big issue with that because I think that that is very misleading when you have someone you treat as a friend and you were making videos and doing things behind their back for months, which I had found out later that week from actually one of the sweetest people ever, Stacy McDonald. I was actually at a dinner and she was like, hey, there's videos out about you with your sponsor, who I'm just going to say my sponsor needs the Lord Jesus Christ and in my business. And she has actively tried to destroy my business since the day I've joined. And I know you're aware of that, but it's not been easy for me in this business. And Justin took my phone when I was in the hotel room and he was like, we're going to delete this group chat right now that you're in with these women. This is toxic. This is not okay. Because I literally was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be alive. I can't do this anymore. And like all these people knew what me and you were going through too. And I'm not going to sit here and go back and forth. We both said and did horrible things to each other.
Yes.
But we had no business venting to these people.
No.
They were not safe people.
No.
They were not good people
No.
to give us good advice. And so I stayed that week, and it was the worst week of my life. I was traumatized, literally traumatized. And so I got back home, and it pretty much broke me. I crawled into a shell. I got really inflamed and just really even more overweight. I was like 170 pounds. And so that was really my rock bottom. I didn't trust anybody. I definitely didn't trust God. And, when I got back, my pastor saw the way I looked and he reached out to my husband specifically and said, hey, I don't know what's going on, but there's a great life coach that my mom sees. And I think she could help Chloe. Yeah. And I'm forever grateful for him for that. Because I don't know if I would be here. Yeah. Without her, and her name is Angel, and she's the best because you see her now and you get it. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to make it, man. And so I started seeing her, and during this time, these women are going in their stories talking about me. I'm literally getting stepped and stomped on while they were the ones that completely blindsided me. And I was so broken and so upset because I loved, how much I loved them.
I know. And I know.
So started therapy and started serving in my church. So I started serving in youth, and those girls saved me. Those girls showed me that God had a purpose for me and a place for me. And I started going to camp with them, praying with them in the bathroom about things that they couldn't tell anybody else because none of the other counselors or people in church had been through it. I was able to be a safe space for them. And God showed me, I don't need you to be with those kinds of women anymore. Yeah. I need you to be right here. So I did that for 3 years. Yeah. Recently, God called me out of serving with them, but most of my girls now are graduating this year, and I love you guys so much. Y'all know that if any of you are watching.
And they love her everywhere we go. One will stop her and be like, she's my favorite.
Yeah, we just saw one in Trader Joe's the other day. And so, God really put the pieces together, and he built that broken woman back up. Yeah. And in 2024, I started getting health answers after me and you met in April. Literally right after that, I started seeing my functional medicine doctor, and I found out all these levels were elevated that I could not, do on my own. Yeah. And so I got answers, and, I started to remember who I was and what I was passionate about, and I started having joy, and I stopped letting the active words and videos and things people were saying about me affect me. Yeah. And so I know we kind of went on with that, and we got to end this.
I do want to say real quick, there's never a relationship or a friendship in this world that there's been too much done that you can't just show up. Yeah. Yeah. And I wish so badly And guys, like, seriously, take it from me. Just knock on the door, make the phone call, because you also don't know if somebody's going to be here.
I definitely should not be here.
I know. So
should not. So I'm glad I am. I'm so glad I am.
We like to cry, y'all. I mean, I can't really. Crying is very healthy. Also, having conversations are very healthy. The hardest ones are the healthiest.
Yeah.
Just being honest, as long as you can do it the right way. But thank you guys for like trusting us, and for also just all of your support and kind words. And I mean, the outpouring of love that we've received, because this is clearly not easy.
No.
Every time it's hard, but you guys make it worth it and so much easier, and so do you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So anywho, that was episode 4.
Yeah. We're wrapping it up, and I will say too, we're gonna have some information at the end of this podcast. If you have been sexually assaulted in any way, we're gonna give you some resources so you know that you have a way out, and that you it wasn't supposed to be that way, and we want to make sure that you get the healing that you deserve. So we love you guys, and we'll see you next week. Bye.